Hello, 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 everyone. We are back again for some tea to be spilt all over your table into your cup. And I hope you are ready. This is the final week for the virtual tea. Let me be more specific. This is the final week for the intentional living virtual tea as we coast right into this Saturday, which is the live intentional high tea in Dallas, Texas at the Westin Galleria. So I hope you plan on attending. If you do not already have your tickets, we've got to make sure we get that situated while we're on this call today. So I have another awesome guest with us, and it's Dr. Jinneh Dyson. I will introduce her in just a moment, but I want to, as usual, give you all time to join. So while we're doing that, I'm going to share this out. So as you join, make sure you say hello to us, give us some heart love, thumbs up, all the good stuff, say hi so we can make sure that we appropriately greet you and welcome you to this live. So again, as you join, say hello, share this thing out, and we'll be getting started here shortly. And as I always say, I wouldn't dare ask you to do something that I won't do myself. So I am going to share this out. So as I do that, I'll keep my eyes on the folks that are joining us. Make sure you say hello. Don't just be lurking. I'll be sharing in a couple spots and we will jump right into this. Hello, hello. Thank you all for joining. Again, if this is your first time, it won't be your last, but make sure you say hello to us. Let us know you're out there. We're sharing this out and hoping that you're doing the same before we get started. And this will allow folks a chance to join. Hopefully you had your alerts set and all that good stuff, so you are already prepared for this live. So I see some folks hopping on. And if you don't catch us live, you always got the replay. So don't feel bad about that. And I have one more place and we will go ahead and get started. Hello, Ashley. Thanks for joining. Maybe you'll be the beginning of people saying hello and not just hanging around. I see some other folks on there. Hey, Brianna, I see you. Thank you for saying hello to us. Y'all know I can't do two things at once, so I'm trying to read the comments over here and share.
Hey, Ashley. Hey, Brianna. Thank you, ladies, for being here. You haven't already shared. Go ahead and share this. Yes, Ashley has her teacup ready. Yes.
Oh,
on it, girl.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Sisterhood and teamwork. Look at us. Okay, so before we jump into this juicy tea that we have for you today, of course, I got to do a little bit of housekeeping, and I want to thank the vendors, the sponsors for their participation, donations, and everything that they're doing to support the intentional living movement. And we have Mary Kay Arm Candy, Delicious Scrubs, True Boutique, My Dear's Boutique, Young Living Lifestyle Wellness, RLB Consulting, and of course, Little Lizzie Foundation, who is one of our level 2 sponsors. So thank you to all of you who are and have been continuously supporting this movement. Now, just in case you're just joining, I got to remind you or let you know if this is your first time again, that this is the 5th week of the Intentional Living Virtual Tea. So we had a different interviewee, a different guest each week of the month of May as we led up to the event that's occurring actually this Saturday, June 1st in Dallas, Texas at the Westin Galleria. So make sure that you grab your tickets because it's going to be so awesome. I'm telling you. you got to get your teacup filled. And since I mentioned that, I got to tell you what the teacup is, right? So for those of you who love to have things recited to you in a way that you can remember it, I'm going to tell you what you're going to leave with using teacup as an acronym. So T is tips, takeaways, and tools. So you're going to come to this T and walk away with tips, takeaways, and tools. You're going to also be entertained and empowered. But not only are you going to be empowered, but to that A, you're going to take some action. So you're going to be empowered to take action. And then for the C, you're going to engage. So you're going to have community, right? You're going to be able to network with some forward-thinking women and men alike. So make sure you come and be a part of the community, because if you're not getting out there, engaging, you're not growing. And then the U, you're going to leave unstuck, because again, as we empower, inspire, and encourage you to act, that's you getting unstuck from wherever it is that you're stuck in life. And then finally, the P is for polish, because sometimes we just need a little dusting off, right? We got to be reminded and we got to be pushed along. So you're going to get polished up at this event. And I should call it an experience, because that's truly what it is. Now, if it's your first time tuning in, I am Dr. Jinneh Dorsey, life and business coach, 4-time best-selling Amazon author, if I could get it out. And then also founder of the Commend Her Network, along with one of the podcasters on Date with the Dorseys. So with that, you can learn more about me on my website, on the business page that you're watching this on right now, but it's not even about me today. So I want to go right into introducing my guest before we jump into some good conversation. So I have with me Dr. Jinneh, who is an award-winning mental health advocate, a #1 best-selling author, a highly sought motivational speaker, the chief Think Up officer of the Think Up Group, and a former media personality. Dr. Jinneh currently travels the globe teaching leaders and entrepreneurs how to think up and create the future that they desire in their mind first. If you hadn't yet heard a trend yet, you're going to hear it in a minute. So we'll get on that later. But her passion for helping people overcome adversities stems from the agony that she experienced when she lost her mother to cancer at the age of 14. Attempting to mask the pain, she surrendered too many of the struggles and low expectations and perceptions of self that affects youth today who are lacking parental guidance and support. However, her positive attitude and determined spirit would not hinder her progress for long. So refusing to become another statistic, she worked diligently to beat the odds and obtain so many different accolades, degrees, and such. She is inspiring. She particularly inspires others to create futures that they desire by thinking up and developing healthy mental habits. She believes that the one thing that prevents individuals from fulfilling their divine purpose is their mindset. She's also an author of 2 books, Success Beyond Stress and also Mental Habits of High Performance People. So ladies and gents, let's welcome Dr. Jinneh Dyson.
Hey, ladies, hey, gentlemen. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you, Dr. J, for the invitation. It is such a pleasure to be here. And you know what? Let's get started, because I know we got a whole lot to talk about.
We sure do. We sure do. And I love to tell the people when, we like to introduce ourselves and let them know who they're playing in the playpen with, whatever we want to call it. But I met Dr. Jinneh. How old is your second child?
She's 3. She'll be 4 in August.
So it was about 3 to 4 years ago at a conference. She was actually really pregnant at that moment at that conference.
Yes.
And she was so awesome. She left a huge impact on not only me, but the audience as well. And I've been looking for an opportunity to connect with her and work with her in a different way. So this is just the start of that. So just in case you're wondering how that came about.
Yes.
But the intentional living high tea that I've been talking about, this year's theme, every year we have a different theme. And this year the theme is the arrival. And we've kind of been talking about that throughout the week. How does the word arrival translate to you? What does that truly mean in love, life, and business? And I think I want to start with you from the trend that I was calling out in your bio, the Think Up. That's your brand.
Absolutely.
So what would you say as far as thinking up your brand and how it ties to the arrival?
Yeah. So when I think of the arrival, I think of number one, you don't arrive at a destination. So for me, it's not about a destination. It's really about who I'm becoming in the process. But the first part to arriving in any space is to acknowledge where you are and where you're going. Like that's number one. So it's like once you're clear about where you are and where you desire to go, then that's when the process of the arrival begins. And I think for me, it was realizing that I was made for more, realizing that I didn't like the life that I had. I was tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I was tired of being overwhelmed. I was tired of being stressed out. I was tired of feeling like I have so much value and I'm giving my 9 to 5. I'm giving these people, I'm giving these companies, but they're still capping my salary and I'm still not getting over. So I think for me, the arrival really catapulted when I realized that if I don't like my life, I can create the life that I want. Like I'm not a tree and neither are you, which means you're not stuck. You're not stuck in the ground rooted. If you don't like something, you can create what you want. And for me, that was the first aha that I realized that, okay, if I want to live the life that I've always dreamed, then it's going to require me to create it. And I always tell my clients day in and day out, like if you're really pursuing wealth, if you know that there's more for you and you truly believe that wealth is assigned to you and that you're the one in your family that's going to break every generational curse, then you have to realize that wealth is not earned, it is created. Which means you can't work your way up to wealth. You can't beg your way up to wealth. You can't just believe and speak your way to wealth. Like you really have to create it. That means that you have to shift your mindset and you have to, what I call, put your feet into your faith and you have to take radical action. And I think that's what arriving is. That's what the arrival is. It's the moment you realize that you're not where you're supposed to be. And all I need to do is change my mind and put my feet into my faith. Then I can begin the process of arriving to where God has me.
I love that. And, you know, we can find ourselves making it sound so easy, right? Just when you make up your mind and you know that you want something different, you know that you want better, that you need to take action.
Yeah.
So with you being a mental health provider, provider, we'll go with that. How would you encourage a person that has changed their mind and want more and want better, but just can't seem to make that first step?
Yeah, so everything starts with habits. So I want you to think about habits, like not physical habits like getting up, brushing your teeth. I want you to think about mental habits. So let's kind of shift the game. So if you want to make a difference, if you want to change your life, it all starts with your mind. You know, like I teach my babies, where your head goes, your body follows. So whatever you think is what you speak, and what you speak is what you become. So when you're really on the path of saying, okay, I really want to do this, but I struggle with discipline, I struggle with consistency, I struggle with sticking to it, you have to make a decision. And that decision begins with you developing healthy mental habits. So there's two things, ladies, two things, gents, that I want you to think about. Number one, I want you to think about the mental stamina. So mental stamina, that's what you need to keep going when times get tough. Because being an entrepreneur, being a side entrepreneur, being a mom, being a wife, being a woman, being a person, when you are after something greater than you, when you are after a dream that literally makes you want to pee in your pants, you are going to want to quit. You are going to want to give up. You will want to throw in the towel. But you have to develop the mental stamina. So number one, you got to have the mental stamina. The second thing is that you have to have what I call mental strength. So there's stamina, which is the endurance. There's strength, which makes you stronger. So that's the resiliency factor. So how do you develop that? Because y'all know, if you follow me on social media, which I know I got some of my people watching me right now on Facebook, then you know I'm all about the how. I'm all about teaching you and breaking it down. So after you've made the decision, then you have to make a radical change. You have to do something totally different. And that means that you have to develop mental habits. So that means that you have to take action over your thoughts. That means that every thought that comes in, you have to ask yourself, is this helping me or is this hurting me? And anything that is not helping you, you have to serve it as eviction notice. So if you've ever been evicted, then you know when they serve you those papers, you got to go. There's no time to pack. There's no time to negotiate and say, oh, well, I'm going to pay you tomorrow. No, you have to go. Or that's the same way. If your thoughts are telling you to do something different, if your thoughts are popping up and you having all these excuses, you have to ask, is it helping me or is it hurting me? Then you have to make a decision, and then you only can feed yourself things that help you. Now, is this easy? Not at all. It's not easy, but the process is simple. So you make a decision, you develop the habit, which is, I'm going to check my mind, which means every thought that comes in, you're going to ask, is this helping? Is this hurting? If it's helping you, you keep going. If it's hurting you, you immediately do a mind check and you replace that thought. Like anything that's not going to fuel you, propel you, and catapult you, it has to go. Like it cannot be in this season. So that's number one. The second thing that you have to do is once you make the decision and once you start checking your mind, is that I don't like to focus on a lot of things. Like if I'm going to lose weight and my goal is 40 pounds, I can't focus on that whole 40 because I'm going to get overwhelmed when I get on that scale and I only lost 2 pounds. Then I'm like, see, I'm 38 pounds. It's never going to get there. Yeah. So I focus on it from a small place and I focus on one thing. So maybe my one thing may be, I'm going to make sure that I drink my water today. Maybe my one thing is, maybe I'm going to work out 30 minutes a day. Maybe my one thing is I'm going to cut out carbs. Like I don't try to do all of that. And that's where I find like many entrepreneurs get stuck, is that we want to change everything. Like we want to just do everything at once. So after you make a decision and after you start checking your mind, then I want you to identify one thing that will move your life forward. I call it the tipping point. What's the one thing, if you implement now, that will tip your life or your business forward? So let me give you an example. 2018, I took a sabbatical. So I've been in business now since 2012. 2018, I took a sabbatical because I just had the third baby. So I had 2 babies in 2 years. I was traveling so much. We were in the process of relocating to Dallas. We were launching our ministry. So it was a lot of things going on. I said, you know what? I need to step away. And I need to make sure that, number one, I'm serving from a place of integrity and I'm still in love with my business. And number two, that I'm serving clients that I am drastically and radically in love with. Like I want to be in love with the clients that God has assigned me to work with. So I took a sabbatical. It was supposed to have been a 4-month sabbatical, but it was a 6-month sabbatical. So when I came back in 2019, I realized that I was really going to have to rebuild a part of my business. A part of my business that was no longer serving me, that I made a decision that I'm not going to come back with it. So I'm going to rebuild this business. So I made a list of everything in my life that I really needed to implement in order to get there. So I made a list from, that means I'm going to have to show up on live. That means that I'm going to have to go into places where I'm working with more high profile women and men. That means that I'm going to have to develop better systems. That means that I'm going to have to work out in the gym. I'm going to have to eat it. Like I made a whole list of everything that I needed to do and become in order to attract my ideal client. So I made a list and then I went through the list and I put, okay, when I do these things, what's the result? So for example, when I go live, for me going live means that I make money because every time I go live, I have people that sign up for sessions. When I speak on these stages, that means that I get 5 to 10 clients that come in. So I made a list of everything that I needed to do and become in order to get to that ideal result. Then I put like, when I do these things, what happens? So I said, okay, if I only can focus on one, because I can't focus on everything. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, we got too much going on. If I only can focus on one, what's the one thing that I could do right now that will change my life and my business? What's the one thing? So after I made this list, the one thing that I needed to do every day to change my life and business was that I needed to get up and I needed to work out first thing in the morning, every single day for 30 minutes. And you're like, hold up, how does that correlate with business? How does that correlate with products? How does that correlate with anything? So for me, when I work out, I feel, number one, I feel accomplished. I feel stronger mentally. I feel stronger physically. I feel like I look better. And you know, ladies, when we look better, we have a little bit more confidence. And when you have more confidence, then you can show up better in the spaces where you're assigned to be in. So for me, the one thing that I had to do was that I had to make a decision and I had to work out. So I did this for 30 days. And the goal was, let me do this for 30 days and let me see what happens. So I did this for 30 days and my revenue quadrupled. So 4 times. What I was making in 2018, I made that in a quarter because of me working out 30 minutes a day. So when I talk to you about arrival, when I talk to you about like, how do you shift your life? How do you get unstuck? How do you stop procrastinating? I'm telling you this because that's a place that I've been in. So number one, it starts with you making a decision in your mind and doing mind checks. The second thing is to pick one thing and do that one thing every single day. That's it. Like, that's how you shift it. And you do it to where it becomes a habit, but it's a mental habit more than a physical habit.
Okay, so Dr. Nay, you gave them like 5 cups of tea in one session. You're giving them all the tea, girl. They got to digest it first.
Okay, so let's break it down.
Yes. Well, we got it. I think I got it. So,
okay.
But I wanted to back up with, some of the stuff that you mentioned.
Yeah.
You started with the mental stamina and the mental strength.
Yes.
And you kind of tied those together. Then you went into the mental habits.
Yes.
So I want to talk more about those 3 stages.
Okay.
Because to me, those are some easy to remember, easy to apply things for people that are just tuning in so that they can, really take this away and implement in their lives. So when we talk about the stamina and the strength and even the habits, and going back to my question earlier about, sometimes with life just happening, and to your point, with all the many different things we have going on in life, it kind of gets complex, right? And we may be tired. We may just feel like we lack motivation, whatever the reason is. But in our mind, we already feel or think that we want to do better. We want to change, but we just don't have the stamina or the strength. So how do you go about building that? Like, how do you make that first step?
You build it by making it a non-negotiable. Like, when you are like, you're either gonna do it or you're not.
Yeah.
And this is the point that I got to. I got to the point of this. I saw so many people that started after me in the speaking journey that are making $40,000 a talk, $50,000 a talk, $30,000 a talk. And I'm like, okay, if these companies got the money to pay them, then they must have the money to pay me. So what do I need to do in order to get it? I'm either going to make the excuse or I'm going to execute.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's just it. Everybody's tired. Everybody's overwhelmed. Everybody feels like I need 5 more people to help me run my business. Everybody feels like I need 5 more people to help me in my house. Like it literally comes down to you either going to do it or you not. And so how do you build the mental stamina? Is that you get up every day and you do the one thing before you can talk yourself out of doing it. So for me, it's 4:00 in the morning. Before I can talk myself out of working out, I have to work out. Why? Because working out gives me the confidence that I need to show up in my business. So when I can hit that goal, that means I can show up in my business and I can serve people on a higher level. So mental stamina and mental strength, it has to become a mental habit. So let's go back. In order to develop a mental habit, you need mental strength and you need mental stamina. How do you do that? You change your mind. So you only allow your mind to think where you're trying to go. You literally have to train your brain to think what you want it to think and do. The second thing you have to do is that you have to pick one thing. And you do that one thing no matter what. Who cares if you're tired? Who cares if you're sick? Who cares if you feel like I don't have enough time? Who cares if you feel like you don't have enough energy? Look, what you won't do, God will raise somebody else up to do it. Like what you won't do, God will raise somebody else. What if you were not obedient and said, well, I'm not going to do this tea because I don't feel like I have the money. I don't feel like I'm going to be able to get the numbers. I don't feel like that I'm going to be able to have the draw. What if you didn't do it? Number one, it inhibits somebody else from getting free by the gifting that you have. And then number two, God will raise somebody else up right here in the same area at the same hotel and have the same type of tea. That might not have your effect and your gifting, but God will still get the job done. So I think for us women is that we have to realize everybody's tired. Everybody's overwhelmed. Like what I think about all the time, I see, because I'm like, well, I have 2 little kids. It's hard. But then I see a woman somewhere else. She got 4 little kids and she's doing it. And I'm like, well, hell, Like, let me go ahead and step up. So I think we
Right.
have to stop making the excuses, and we just have to put our feet into our faith, and we have to go to work and do it. And how do you get there? You show up and you do it every day, no matter what.
Yeah. And I think that's the challenge for many people, is that you see, or you have in your mind that you want to change, and then that change is often this big thing, right? This big arrival, since we want to refer back to the theme, right? And when you think of the big arrival, you feel like you can't make those small steps because you got to come with the big arrival. But to your point, it's really figuring out the best way to eat the elephant, right? We all
Yeah.
heard that. So just breaking it up into pieces so that it's more feasible, more doable, and then you celebrate along the way,
Yes.
so that you recognize those milestones, and then you see, like you mentioned, you go to the gym, right? If you want to, get your six pack, and if you're going to the gym every day, then that's developing that muscle. And that's the same way with our arrival or achieving those goals in love, life, and business. We have to continually work towards those daily and create, to your point, the mental habit.
Right. And it's also like taking your eyes off the end result. Like, we get
Mhm.
so stuck on the end result. So we're like, well, it's not happening fast enough. I don't see how it's going to work.
Yeah.
And taking your mind away from that and saying, what can I do today to win? And really walking by faith and saying, if I do this every day, I'm sowing the seeds. So I wake up every day and I ask myself, what seeds do I need to sow today? Like, it's not about me winning and getting the big contract. It's about, what am I doing every day that
Yeah.
allows me to win? God told me last week, he said, it's your now level action that produces your next level winning.
Mm.
So don't focus on the next level, focus on your action right now. Like, don't do the next thing you know to do the now thing. And I believe that we all have that now thing. Like, we all know, what's that one thing I know I need to be doing, but I keep putting off. Like,
Mhm.
I keep talking, like, every single person has that. We know that thing. And for me, total transparency is me showing up consistently every single day live, every single day online. Most of my money is made offline. So for me, getting on social media, I don't always put that as a priority, but I know that that's so important because it gives me a broader reach. So for me, it's not about the next thing I need to do. It's about the now thing. So I think kind of what you're saying is that, we get so caught up in the big goal and the big results, like the weight's not coming off faster. I'm not hitting my goals. I can't leave my job yet. Like, it's not working. And I just want to encourage every woman that's listening right now, and every man, to really just focus on the now thing. Like, focus on today. Like,
Awesome.
winning every day.
I love that, because we often, we need to be reminded, even those of us who are motivated and ambitious, to your point earlier, we get tired, but that doesn't mean you give up. You can rest, but
Yes.
don't quit. And then we were talking about those moments where we get so caught up in those extraordinary activities in the future, like it has to be this flamboyant thing, but we're missing out in the moment of now,
Yes.
and the ability that we have. With that, I want to go into kind of the idea of creating capacity, because we did talk about being overwhelmed and, having so many things going on. So when we talk about creating capacity in order to arrive at your next destination, how does that look like? Or what would you recommend to those out there listening to us, as far as how to create this capacity and what that truly means?
Yeah. So I think, for one, I think it starts with changing your language. One of the things that I don't say anymore is that I don't say that I'm overwhelmed. I don't say that I'm stressed. I always say that my cup is running over, because I remember praying for seasons like this. I remember looking at other entrepreneurs and saying, man, I wish that my business was moving. I wish that I had that. And then I found myself in those times where there were a lot of things going. I said, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. But then I'm like, well, how am I overwhelmed when this is what I prayed for? So I changed my language and I started saying, like, my cup is running over. Because there's somebody somewhere that's praying for your life today. There's somebody somewhere that's praying to be exactly where you are. So I had to be mindful of the language that I was speaking. The second thing is that I also had to change my perception of where God was taking me. So I grew up, my mom passed when I was 14. I was homeless, severely depressed, had many, many years of like living in my closet, being totally rock bottom, not having a place to live. So anytime where I thought about wealth and success and abundance, I would almost self-sabotage and block my blessings because I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel that I could handle it. I didn't feel qualified. I remember there were years where I would receive money and I would have big speaker months, $25,000, $30,000 months. And I would literally blow the money, like just run through it because I didn't feel that I didn't feel that I was worthy. And I didn't understand kind of what you're speaking to, the capacity to have. So one of those things is that I really had to do a lot of money mindset work where I had to change my relationship with money. And I stopped looking at money as something that, oh, if I get it, it's a rare thing. And I started saying, no, wealth is attracted to my hands. And in order for me to do what God has called me to do, I need money, I need wealth, and money is a tool. So I had to change my relationship with money. I had to change my thoughts about money. And I really started to really meditate and think about the capacity to have. So what does the capacity to have means? That means that everything that you have prayed for, everything that you believe in your heart, like God can give you those things, but you have to be open to receiving it. Mm-hmm. That means that I had to stop with the self-sabotaging. That means that I had to stop looking at money as, oh, it's just going to come today, but I'm not going to have it. But I started looking at money as money is only a tool. It's only a number and it's only a tool. And the way that you get more of it is by having better energy because it's energy. And I didn't understand that. But once I started doing that work, things started to shift. So I think it's changing your language about the overwhelm and about, I feel stuck. I feel this, like change that. And I think number 2 is creating a new relationship and really start speaking what it is that you desire and being okay with that.
Yeah. And knowing that you are worth what it is that you desire.
But why is it so hard for us?
Right.
Like, why?
Before anybody else can tell us no, already talking ourselves out of
it. Or like I have like some of my clients, they're stuck around, well, they can't make over 5,000. Well, I just can't do it. Or they're stuck at the 10,000, or they're stuck even at, well, I can't get somebody to pay me $1,000 to speak. And I was like, why? Well, that's a lot of money. Says who? Like, do you think that's a lot of money to Oprah? Like, right. No, change your perception. Like, don't count. And one thing that my coach told me, he said, stop counting other people's money. So stop saying that 5,000 is a lot or 10,000 is a lot. He was like, is that a lot? Is that a lot to LeBron James? Is that a lot, to Beyonce? Like, stop counting their money. And I realized that I was blocking my next level and my now level blessings because I was so focused on counting other people's money because I didn't feel like, well, I don't have that amount of money, so that must be a lot. And that wasn't. Yeah. Have you experienced that, or had your clients experience that?
Of course. Yes. And I mean, I can relate to it because I was there before. I had to change my mindset. So that's the only reason why I can, coach other people through it, because I understand it. And sometimes it gets to a point where you've created a story for yourself and you keep reciting that same story. So you believe it and you can't change your mind about it. So to your point earlier, it's about changing that mindset and changing the narrative and really believing in what it is that you're trying to achieve.
And it happens on every level. I remember when I was in corporate, when I first graduated college, I was making $28,000. And I said, oh, if I could just make $30,000, I don't know why 30. I'm like, if I could just make $30,000, that would help me. So I made 30 and I was like, okay, my goal is 50. Man, if I had $50,000, do you know I would be balling? So then $50,000 came. And I was like, this ain't no money.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, well, let me just make 70,000. And I was doing 70. I'm like, no. But every level I realized that I was stuck, that I really had these money blocks and money beliefs. And no matter if you have a lot of money, no matter if you have a little money, no matter if you feel like you struggle, or if you're successful right now, everybody has to work through their level. Like we all start at the bottom of our level. So just because I've been doing this for 7 years, I'm still at the bottom when I get to another speaker that's been doing this for 10. So we're all amateurs, like we're all starting, and we all have to work through our levels. And I think like that's something that I think social media kind of hinders, because you see people that look like they live in a life.
Yeah.
And everybody's going through something. Everybody is working through their own mental blocks and mental beliefs.
Absolutely. And to that example you just used about the different levels, every time you got another increase or, a salary increase, you were like, okay, what's next? And that kind of goes back into this whole arrival thing. Always be arriving, because
Yes.
sometimes we think that that just means I'm in point A and I just need to get to point
Yes.
B, but point B may not always be the last
No.
stop. So you have to think bigger, wider, and just believe in the opportunities that you have and take advantage of those opportunities.
Yes.
Sometimes people are just lazy too. They know what they want, but don't want to do the work.
Mm-hmm. And I like what you just said, like always be arriving. Like don't get stuck and don't stop and don't settle. Don't think, oh, well, I've accomplished this, so now I've made it. It's
Yeah.
like it's an evolutionary process. Like we always can work on becoming. So I love that, Dr. J.
Well, I have to greet everyone again. We got so into the conversation. We didn't forget about you. So if you're out there, say hello, give us heart, love, thumbs up. Tell us what's, resonating with you, what's helping you. If you have any questions about the tea, I will be posting the link. As a matter of fact, I will put it on the screen now, just in case you're needing that link. And I just want to give a couple shout outs. I see some people that joined: Jerry, Shanika, Charles, Laquetta, Norman, Latia. Thank you all for joining. We are so glad to have you. Make sure you share this out, because we are talking about intentional living. We are talking about the arrival, right? How that looks and what that means in your love, life, and business. So all this month, we've been talking about the arrival from different perspectives, from different speakers, different people in education. So it's just a plethora of information from some awesome, amazing women. And if you haven't caught the previous recordings throughout this month, make sure you go back and catch the replay. But today we are here with Dr. Jinneh Dyson, and we have been spilling all the tea. We got to save some of it for Saturday, because I need y'all to bring your cup so you can be ready to receive some more. But the last thing I was going to say, as we were talking about always be arriving, and the fact that we typically get into a point where we're, well, I can say I did. I'm guilty, and sometimes I still am.
Yeah.
With the always be arriving. Sometimes it can be a hindrance because you are so ambitious and
Yes.
you want to continue to achieve the next thing. So you have these goals, you achieve the goal, or in the terms of this live and this theme, you arrive at that place that you were looking towards achieving. Once you get there, you don't take the time to celebrate. You don't take the time to say, congratulations to me, I did a good job. But instead, you're looking for the next thing. Like, I did it. Okay, now what's next?
Yes.
So what do you say to the people that are dealing with that?
That is so timely, because I just had a mastermind session this week with my mastermind sisters, and that was the space that I found myself in earlier this May. So the last 6 months, I had an amazing contract, and we exceeded every goal that they hired me for, and it was just the best experience. So when the contract ended, because we wrapped up the project, I was immediately, the ambitious side of me was like, okay, what's next? Okay, well, shoot, I did that. Now I can double it. Now I can do this, and I can rinse and repeat and all these things. And I really had to stop. And I said, this is the pattern I've always done. Like, I've always done this pattern of I've had one hot thing and I move on to something next. And I'm like, I don't have to do that. I need to learn how to just be. And I need to be still, and I need to soak in what works. I need to reward myself. I need to celebrate me. I need to be still. And I found so much joy in that moment. And I realized that when you are a kingdom-driven entrepreneur, meaning that you are doing this because there's something greater. Like, you're not doing this for money. You're not doing this for fame. Like, you're doing this because you know that you are called to make a greater impact in this world. When you are a kingdom-driven entrepreneur, you don't have to always hustle. You don't have to always grind. If you stay in a space of gratitude, if you stay in a space of serving, doors will open for you. Opportunities will be attracted to you. And that was the first time that I realized in my life that it's okay to just be. Like I really had to give myself permission to just be. I don't need to go and try to sell this. I don't need to try to go and hustle this. I don't need to go and try to flip this. I need to just be. And because I'm being, and because I'm operating from a space of gratitude, I believe that in the right timing, that gratitude will influence that altitude. So there will be things that will come to me just because I'm being. So if you're out there and you feel like you always have to be creating, you always have to be doing, you always have to be moving, like, there's a season that you're going to come to where you realize that you can't hustle your way to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
You can't grind yourself to next level. That you really just have to be, because wealth is not earned, it is created. And sometimes the best form of creating something is to be grateful in the space that you're in right now.
I love that. Be grateful in the space that you're in.
Yes. And many times we don't do that. We're always looking at what's next. But I think there's a difference between being complacent and being content.
Oh, yeah.
You can be on the journey of arrival and arriving, and you can be totally content. But that doesn't mean that you don't have goals. That doesn't mean that you're still not working and striving. But you don't have to jump from one thing to the next. You can celebrate your wins. You can celebrate things that feel good and be in that space for a moment.
I love that. So bask in your glory where you are.
Come on now.
And be ready. So what do they say? Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yes, but how many times do we do that? Do we just really just bask in it?
Right.
And I had to pull back. I'm always looking at self-reflection, and I pull back to even like when I was in high school and stuff. And it's like, okay, so I made an A on this test. Okay, what's the next test I got to study for? What's next? So I was always looking for like the what's next.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was driven by the what's next. And I'm like, I don't have to do that anymore. Like I can just celebrate this and be present and be still. And then in due season, I'll have to face and make a decision with what's ever next. But right now, this is it.
Yeah. And I the only way that you can really be in that place of content or, being satisfied with where you are, knowing that you've been successful or that you've achieved things, is realizing that it's in your time, right? It's not that you have to achieve it before someone else or, that it has to be hurried, but it can be in its own time.
Yes. And being okay with that and releasing that. And that was one of the things that I did this year. I released my role of CEO. I said, I'm not the CEO. Like, I'm the chief think-up officer, because I didn't choose to have this business. Like, this is what God told me to do. So if you tell me to do this, then you're responsible for this. My job is to manage and be a good steward of all the resources. So that's the people, time, and the money. So that means that as long as I stay in this space, I know that in timing, you will send me the opportunities that I need. So I feel like you're hitting it. It's like, understanding how timing works. And there's doors that you can't hustle your way in. There's some doors you can't grind yourself in. Like if God, the universe, the tree, whatever you believe in, if that doesn't open the door for you, you're still gonna be knocking. So it just comes to a point where you realize that all you have to do is serve every day intentionally. And I love intentional living. Serve every day intentionally. Be grateful for everything you have and watch the world work. Watch doors and opportunities come.
I love that. That is a great way for us to close out, because again, we don't want to give them all the tea, because there's so much more to be poured on Saturday, June 1st. That's this Saturday at the Westin Galleria, Dallas. So make sure that you have or will grab your ticket. I will post the link in the comments again, and make sure that you have that easily accessible. I want to thank the vendors, and actually, I already called out the vendors, so they will be there. But I want to thank the sponsor, one of our sponsors, Little Lizzie's Foundation, for sponsoring this event, and then Delicious Scrubs for donating products, and True Beauty Boutique as well. So thank you for supporting the intentional living movement, because as I've said in the previous videos, it's not just about this tea. This is just a little snippet of the movement. So you have to get on board, learn about the online courses, learn about the books and all of the other things that come together to make this movement. So with that, I want to go ahead and close this out, because we have all of the speakers that have been a part of this virtual tea throughout this month who will be there on Saturday as well. So if you want to meet them in person and you're looking forward to hearing more from them, you have to be in the place. So make sure you grab your ticket. So Dr. Jinneh, I don't know if there's something else that you want to share, but I'll give you the floor really quick, and then also make sure you let the people know how they can find you.
Yes. So ladies, just once again, just be intentional about the decisions that you're going to make. So be intentional about your thoughts, and then just choose one thing that that will change your life and do it no matter what, no matter how you feel, no matter if you feel like you got the money, the time, just go for it. Go all in. Like, just go all in. And if you guys want to follow me at, you can go hashtag think up. You can find me anywhere on social media just simply by using the hashtag think up. And Dr. J, thank you so much for your faith and your obedience to do this. And I pray that everything that you have given these women over the last 30 days or last months, that God will give it back to you 100-fold.
Well, thank you so much. You know, that reminds me of something you mentioned earlier about what if I would have given up on having the tea, right? And listen, I got to tell you, there's a couple of times I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe not this year, but I pushed through. And so I really appreciate you saying those kind words. And I'm looking forward to doing this again.
Yes.
Yes.
I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to see you
as well. Okay, so again, thank you all for joining. The link will be in the comments, so make sure you check out the link, share the video, watch the replay. If you're catching the replay, hashtag replay. And until Saturday, I will see you all next time.